Hello, I'm Luke Hatfield. You join me from home and none other than Wolves correspondent Joe Edwards from Shay Edwards. Joe, how are you doing?
Yeah, not too bad. Just spoke to Nuno as per on a Friday, all gearing up for Newcastle. So let's discuss.
Yeah, I mean, and for Wolves, it's been a little bit of, I think it's fair to say, a little bit of an inconsistent start to the season. Obviously they're coming off that win against Leeds, but at times, I tell you what, first half it wasn't pretty. I think Nuno will be hoping for a more of a 90-minute performance, won't he?
He will, and that's been kind of the theme for quite a while, to be honest. Even going back uh, beyond the start of this season, they haven't really had a full 90 post lockdown, apart from Everton, where they kind of backed themselves and kind of put them to the sword, really. So. But the biggest thing you can say about Wolves at the minute, they're not putting it together for 90 minutes. It hasn't clicked, this new system yet, but they're still picking up results. It's the first time that they've won three of their opening five games in the top flight since 1979. So that bodes well, and hopefully, fingers crossed, soon we'll see wins arrive with a bit more style, and we'd love it to, the Newcastle to be the start of that run, really.
What do you think's been behind that? Is it just a matter of some big names leaving? I mean, obviously we saw Jota leave, and then you've got some new players coming in, and maybe just getting settled into the system because we've seen that players under Nuno it can take some time, can't it?
It can. I think the big thing is the lack of training. It sounds simple, but they've just not had a lot of time on the training pitch under Nuno at all over these last few weeks. These awkwardly placed internationals, especially the last round of internationals, three games within the space of a week, and 16 players away. So in the build up to Leeds, he only had the players in for training for three, at most 4 days. It was more like 3 days really. So you got to take that into account when you've not really had that time to work on the shape and work on the system. This new kind of tweaked system as well, which is designed to have more of the ball and be a bit more kind of attacking yourselves rather than relying on opposition mistakes. It's not really happened as of yet, and I think that the lack of the time on the training pitch is the big factor. But going into Newcastle after beating Leeds, they have had at least a steady week, everybody on the training pitch to go into it. So fingers crossed, it leads to a better performance.
Yeah, hopefully it will do. What about injuries, Joe? Obviously, you've just spoke to Nuno. What's going on? Are there a couple of players who might miss out?
Well, he's not really gone into specifics. He says they've got a few knocks, they've got a few things that they have to assess going into the game. So they'll train tomorrow on Saturday. We recorded this on Friday, so they'll be training on Saturday as well, and just kind of assessing things from there. Not naming names. It didn't sound like anything major. I mean, managers always have players with knocks, don't they? It's very rare that you have everybody feeling 100%. So I don't think it's anything to be too concerned about. It's just interesting to see what team Nuno goes with for this one, because Max Kilman, of course, having a new 5-year contract this week, has helped keep two clean sheets from the last two games and really staked a claim. So does Nuno stick with him? Does Ramin Saiss stay out of position at left wing back? There's some selection headaches for him, and positive ones at that, really.
Yeah, I was just going to bring that one up, Joe. We saw Sace in that left wing back role. Fernando Marcal, is he going to be one which could probably come back in? You'd imagine he's a little bit more adept at playing the role, having played there before.
Yeah, it's a strange one. I've just got a sneaky feeling that Sace could stay there. I mean, it's not his position. Let's not get away from that. But he did score a nice goal at Ellen Road, which got chalked off because of Pedence being marginally offside, and did start to make his presence felt a lot more going forward in the second half. I think early on, Elder Costa was having a fair bit of joy against him, but I think there's a chance, really. I think Kilman would be hard pressed to be dropped. I mean, it's been a brilliant week for him, and he wants to carry on that momentum. Man of the match at Leeds, new contract on Wednesday. He'd love another 3 points on Sunday. So I think the main thing is kind of in attack. What we kind of see, it's been Powdens, Neto, Jimenez. I think Traore's got to start a game sooner rather than later, and I think this is the one where he kind of comes in. I think perhaps Neto would be the one to drop out and get Traore in, and hopefully get him on the goal trail.
Yeah, and obviously, you look at Newcastle and you do think a team like Wolves should really be getting a result, particularly at home against the Magpies. But they have got some threats. Alan Saint-Maximin probably the biggest one. If they can keep him quiet, I think you keep Newcastle quiet, don't you?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, they've got other players, of course. I mean, Callum Wilson's been a good addition for them. They've got Jamal Lewis, who they've signed in the window. They quietly had an half decent transfer window. Really, it wasn't too bad. But St Maximan is the big threat, and if you do stop him, you do go a long way towards stopping Newcastle, it seems. And Nelson Semedo's probably going to be marking him. And it's been an interesting start to life at Wolves for Semedo. Again, I think the lack of time on the training pitch factors in, but he wasn't brilliant against Leeds. It was a clean sheet, of course, so it wasn't anything hugely wrong, but it just looked a bit, an half second off the pace, if you like, and he'll be looking to sharpen up. I mean, Nuno, speaking about him briefly in the presser, said, like anybody, he's doing well, but there are things to improve on as well. So he'll be looking to sharpen up a bit, and if he can stop St Maximin, I think that's a long way to sealing the Wolves' victory.
Yeah, it should be. You look at Newcastle. I said Wolves were inconsistent at the start of this video. I think Newcastle have been another very inconsistent side. A lot of the time, you imagine that they might look at Wolves and say, should we just sit back? Should we just try and slow the game down? Is that going to work against Wolves, do you think?
Well, it's interesting to see which one goes for it, these two sides, really, because both, if you've looked at their game so far, their results have come from kind of sitting back and pouncing on opposition mistakes, or kind of turning the screw at the right times and kind of putting on the pressure at the right times. So it'd be interesting to see which one kind of goes for it, whether Wolves come flying out the blocks or whether Newcastle kind of change tack a bit. I mean, hopefully they don't both sit back. You'd like to think one of them is going to go for it. I mean, Wolves, through it all, have picked up 2 wins on the spin. I mean, if they can make it 3 wins while they're still gelling and still developing as a group, really, that can only bode well. So if they pick up another win, they're onto something. But at the same time, they haven't beaten Newcastle at home for ages in the league since 1993. It's a bit of a surprise. So hopefully they can kind of stop that streak and get a nice win and keep building that momentum.
Come on then, Joe. Give me a match prediction to finish us off.
I'm gonna say 2-0. I'm gonna say 2-0, and they've looked a lot better at the back. Wolves have. I think Cody has looked really buoyed by his England time away with them. I think Kilman's done himself justice, and I don't really see him conceding a goal really at the minute. So I'll say that, and then hopefully we'll have a couple of new scorers. We'll say Pedence and Traore, get them 2 off the mark.
That'd be good to see, wouldn't it? Right, Wolves versus Newcastle. You know where to go for all the pre-match and post-match news. ExpressandStar.com.